The following is a presentation of TFNN. Time to talk about your health. Living a primal lifestyle.
You know, we have Tom from Tampa on the phone. Hey, Tom. Good morning. It's bright and early now, huh?
Hey, Paige. Good.
Hi, Tom.
How you guys doing, Nico?
Doing great.
Good. Hey, your newsletter's outstanding, man. I'm telling you, man, it is outstanding. And so is the Primal Edge. I love that stuff. I'd never be without it. I mean, I've been on it now 3-4 months, man. I mean, it's just, I can't get over how good I feel.
Primal Edge is, people are raving about it. People who are trying it, they know because you can feel it.
Would not be without it.
Call now, toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044. Now your hosts, Nico Paige and Paige Clark.
Well, good morning and welcome to Living a Primal Lifestyle. I'm Paige Clark. This is where we explore a return to a more balanced, natural, wild world.
Recover our natural health and regain our rights and freedoms, and I'm Nico Paige.
It's a beautiful day here in downtown Clearwater, 79 degrees, and I would like to ask you to please subscribe to our Health Signals newsletter. We've got great stuff coming. You can stay connected and up to date on all the cutting edge news that we bring to you on the show. And you can pick up our Primal Edge Daily Nutrition.
That's right. Very important stuff here. And of course, we are having our sale. Mm-hmm. So if you go to the TFNN.com website, it's $25 off, I believe.
It's a good chance to save a little money and stay healthy at the same time.
Yes. So
and
please do that.
If you have any questions, you can email me at paige@tfnn.com.
And of course, Nico@tfnn.com. We're taking your phone calls at 877-927-6648.
That's right.
Yes.
Hey, Nico, you know, I've got a new friend on Facebook. I like this guy. I don't know who he is, but he tags a lot of really thought leaders in the metabolic syndrome keto world.
Okay.
His name is Jeff Sear. And Jeff is really just this average guy who had diabetes and, you know, was probably about 150 pounds overweight. Mm-hmm. And after he started exploring a adequate protein, is what he says, moderate fat, low carbohydrate diet, he corrected his diabetes. He also has as he says it, a fatal liver disease. But it's gotten me realizing what a big 900-pound gorilla we have in the room with the metabolic syndrome. Mm-hmm. And the metabolic syndrome really, when I think of it, there's a myriad of symptoms that you can kind of check off the list. But this is the real threat to our health. And it involves a couple of different organs. And, you know, we know that heart disease is a leading killer. We know that diabetes is a leading killer. And kidney disease. So these three organs, but they're really all related.
Okay.
I found this super article by one of our favorite people, Nora Gedgaudas.
She's a beauty.
Primal Body, Primal Mind. She produced this back in June, and I had saved it in the file, and I wanted to go over it because she answers the question in this article, is the current rise in kidney disease due to our overconsumption of animal source foods, kind of apropos after we've just had this surge of people deciding that, with that movie, What the Health, and so forth, being afraid of animal foods. And I like the way Nora just kind of breaks it down, and I wanted to go over this today.
Yeah, and I think the only animal foods you need to be afraid of is the human beings. But no, really, seriously, I think the only meat that we have to be really afraid of is if they're not eating their own food, if they're kept in horrid conditions, if they're not eating their natural diet. If they don't get enough sunshine and air, kind of the same thing that happens to us. If we're not eating our natural diets, we get sick.
We're not getting enough sunshine.
Yeah.
We're not grounded to the earth and
Exactly.
not living in a natural environment. So it's really a reap what you sow. It's a continuum.
Yeah, it is.
And so she mentions in this article that she periodically gets questions about this growing rate of kidney disease because it is growing. And whether, what's the relation with the animal foods as so much of the media insists. But here are the facts, folks. In the United States, approximately 1 in 3 adults aged 65 years and older currently has chronic kidney disease. Mm-hmm. I just want to interject, as my little buddy on Facebook, Jeff, says, most people are walking around undiagnosed type 2 diabetics. And that's what's so scary and infuriates me is that this mishandling of our sugar is part of the culprit that's causing the damage to these other organs.
Well,
So-
remember in the movie, too, they were saying directly that the overconsumption of, the consuming of meats and the consuming of these types of things, fats, are the thing that really brings on this.
They were really pointing the finger in the wrong direction,
Yeah.
in my opinion. And really what we should both be doing is those of us that believe that we're omnivores and those that want to do a vegan lifestyle. What we really should be doing is pointing the finger at the real culprit, which are the sugars and the bad oils. But let's get back to Nora. Certainly mainstream sources are determined to find every which way to blame,
Yeah.
animal foods and and further vilify it while they expose and extol the virtues of a plant-based diet. But this is kind of a pervasive trend, and she kind of addresses it more deeply in the Primal
she does
Fat
say
Burner
that
book.
she doesn't see the rise in kidney disease as necessarily being unrelated to the rise in what they call the
Metabolic
metabolic
syndrome.
syndrome.
Yeah, exactly.
So it is part of that, but it's certainly not the animal foods that is doing it. Clearly, the sugars are to blame here.
And like she says, metabolic syndrome is the result of insulin resistance, which in turn is overwhelmingly the result of excess carbohydrate consumption, not fat or protein consumption.
Right. Although, insulin can be raised by over-consuming the protein.
Absolutely.
We know that.
We need to have an adequate, not an
probably
overdone.
even over-consuming fat may spike the insulin a little bit. But it's primarily the carbohydrates, primarily processed foods that spike this. Foods that are already gone through. Remember, our body is a processing plant.
Exactly.
We process everything for it. And if it's, it just makes sense, folks. Just think, you've got the whole thing processed for you. Now your body doesn't know what to do with it. It's going to get rid of it. If it can't get rid of it by elimination, it's going to store it. The only thing we store in our body is fat. We don't store anything else. It just makes sense. Go ahead, sorry. Little rampage
what
here.
you mean is we store these excess macronutrients as fat, as body fat.
Exactly.
And she says in this article, Dr. Ron Rosedale, who we've talked about on the show.
Very much so.
They're friends. And he says obesity, the development of obesity is in some respects, it's kind of like a last-ditch effort of your body to protect you from becoming diabetic.
And that's something.
It's actually storing all these excess sugars as body fat instead of letting these sugars run rampant in your blood system.
Yeah.
So when you think of that, realize that it's the body trying to save your life, which is kind of what cancer is too.
Yeah,
but I
your
don't
body's
mean to
no
digress.
longer able to respond to the insulin. That's really what happens. So your body is getting all these signals, and it says, "Hey, too bad, man. You've done this too much. I'm not going to respond anymore. You're already there." In fact, I think the body's saying, "Well, maybe it's too late for you. I'm just not going to leave you alone and let you do your nutty thing."
Exactly. Well, and really at risk are some of the tissues that can't respond to this insulin resistance, such as the brain cells and the nerve cells. And this is why we see peripheral neuropathy and dementia.
And this is really a direct result page of the glycation that you often talk about. These are the proteins mixing with the sugars. And this is where it doesn't make sense to eat a lot of sugar, because this is exactly what happens. The proteins are just sitting there waiting. And remember, most of the time we also
It's like a creme
overconsume those
brulee,
things.
Yeah, it's like
there you
getting
go. That's a good analogy.
caramelized on the top. That's what's happening in the body. But I want to explain this because I think Nora makes some great points so that you can keep your kidneys healthy and maybe look at the whole metabolic syndrome. So stay with us. We'll be right back after this break.
Stick around, folks. You know what's cool? Taking something that's good for you. Something specifically formulated to help with weight loss, better sleep, stress reduction, and the need to detox.
Nico, our hunter and gatherer ancestors found all their nutritional requirements for health in their wild environment. But today, our food sources no longer contain the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients our bodies need to stay healthy and strong.
That's why we need Primal Edge Daily Nutrition. It includes a special blend of ionic, soil-based vitamins, minerals, fatty, and amino acids in an easy-to-use liquid form.
Primal Edge is powered by highly concentrated fulvic and humic acids, nature's preferred delivery system. They have been called miracle molecules because, like sunlight, air, and water, life cannot exist without them.
That's right, Paige. They ensure we receive all the nutrition we need to be healthy and thrive. We take it every morning.
Primal Edge, formulated and approved by Nico and Paige of Living a Primal Lifestyle. Buy it today for just $89. Click on the Primal Edge banner on the front page of TFNN.com. Platinum, grains, crude oil, gold, copper, cattle, hogs, gasoline, natural gas, coffee, cotton, cocoa, and sugar. These are just some of the commodities mentioned in the most recent issue of Andy Hecht's Techno-Mental Commodity Report. Andy publishes his weekly newsletter every Thursday morning, where he breaks down the commodity market and provides his subscribers with specific trading recommendations based on his trading methodology. By signing up for a free trial to the Techno-Mental Commodity Report, you'll get a full 30 days to try out this powerful newsletter service and see for yourself the types of trades Andy has recommended for his subscribers. When you sign up for a 30-day free trial, you're under no obligation to pay anything. And should you decide to continue, you will lock in the low rate of only $79 a month. Sign up right now for the Techno-Mental Commodity Report and make sure you're ready to catch the next big trade in commodities. For more information and to get started today, visit the front page of TFNN.com.
Will the S&P 500 continue to climb? For bold trades on U.S. large-cap stocks in either direction, trade SPXL, SPUU, or SPXS. Directions Daily S&P 500 Bull and Bear Leveraged ETFs. Direction Leveraged ETFs. An investor should carefully consider a fund's investment objective, risks, charges, and expenses before investing. A fund's prospectus and summary prospectus contain this and other information about Direction shares. To obtain a fund's prospectus and summary prospectus, call 866-476-7523 or visit directioninvestments.com. A fund's prospectus and summary prospectus should be read carefully before investing. An investment in the funds is subject to risk, including the possible loss of principal. The funds are designed to be utilized only by sophisticated investors such as traders and active investors. Distributor Foreside Fund Services, LLC.
Nico and Paige take your phone calls now. Toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044.
And welcome back. So before the break, we were talking about glycation and how it hits the nerve cells and damages that. Also, what I think about immediately is that the brain cells are hit the same kind of way.
Right.
So, and this is really, today we're talking about the types of diseases like ADD, dementia, Alzheimer's, of course, the full-blown part.
Yeah, diabetes type.
Yeah,
type 3.
any kind of brain short-circuiting has to do with the sugar and the glycation, which it binds the sugar and the proteins together and causing the damage.
Yeah,
so that's the way
exactly.
I see it.
And increasingly, the arterial endothelium gets damaged and scarred by the effects of this insulin resistance and the oxidation and caramelization or glycation of the sugars in our blood. We're just not supposed to have more than a teaspoon of sugar in our blood. And when you stop and think about what a Coke has in it, anyone that still drinks that, those toxic things.
And of course, we've substituted many things for that, and so it appears now from all the evidence, like the Diet Cokes and things like that, these are even more damaging.
Right, absolutely.
I don't know how you can be more damaging than killing us, but
right, sugars. When we get surges of the insulin or the leptin, the two, insulin and leptin are very important in our sugar metabolism. They stimulate actually the sympathetic nervous system, which causes the body to rapidly lose magnesium. Think stress. Stress is a stimulation of the sympathetic nervous system, and when we are stressed and in that sympathetic tone, we're going to just deplete of magnesium, and this causes a vulnerable constriction in our blood vessels. They're not relaxed, they're constricted. There's an imbalance between the calcium and the magnesium. And then you end up with clogged, glycated, and oxidized plaques. And especially this is a threat to the small vessels, because what we now know is that 75% of our circulation is actually controlled by the small microvasculature. And this is the same vasculature, the tiniest little capillaries.
And this makes sense.
That's what actually supplies the blood supply to the eyes and to the kidneys.
And and those smaller ones are really important. Of course, glycation is the scarring, so you can imagine a scar in a large tube is not as damaging as a scar in a small tube.
That's what we're saying, and so it's impacting the blood supply to these these crucial organs of our eyes and our kidneys that require and are fed by the tiniest of vessels.
Yeah, and it doesn't make sense from an evolutionary standpoint that our eyes would go bad as we age because we need them. And the more experienced person would need them more, pointing out things to the younger people. So this is not a natural state. And we've seen our eyesight decline over the generations once we started in agricultural food.
Well, I also think it's because of our screwed up circadian rhythms. You know, we're not working with
I think there's a connection in all of it, but our modern living is my point.
Right.
Yes.
Food and environment.
And our modern living has gotten 100 times more in the last 50 to 100 years than it has in the last few thousand years. So you can see the acceleration. And, you know, when we point out those charts, remember all those charts we had a few weeks ago about all the different things correlating to sugars and correlating to glyphosate? But it's also correlating to our lifestyle. If we say, when did we change our lifestyle? It goes in a curve, and all of a sudden, the last 50 years, it goes whoom.
Right. She says here, although this clogging of this microvasculature is often gets directly correlated with diabetes, it is actually a process that is quite literally happening to everyone over time.
Yeah.
And it is simply a matter of how quickly this occurs in anyone, based in large measure to how a person is choosing to eat. And as I say, you know, whether or not they're reconnecting with the natural environment. So we know that Nora, actually, just to clarify, you know, she points out that in her dietary approach, she advocates for a strict protein moderation, very much like Ron Rosedale. We need some protein, but not so much.
Yeah.
But what we actually need is adequate protein. So there's that fine line of having adequate, well-distributed protein, I think, and making sure we don't have access.
And I like what you said. It kind of starts with the food, or the food is a really important process, because what I find with my clients and people that I know that have kind of switched to what we're doing is that they start paying attention to all the other things at the same time.
Right. It's a quantum effect.
Yeah, it's a quantum effect. I mean, we're zeroing in on the food here, but it's really the lifestyle that we talk about. That includes all the things that we talk about, like the saunas and the enemas and finding clean water and worrying about what we breathe and the air and the
what
kind
we think.
and what we put our food in. And things
so
like
continuing on her point of the fact that she does recommend, like so many of these thought leaders, for longevity, that a strict moderate protein, not because of her concerns about kidney damage, but for a much better reason that involves improved longevity effects, a result of curbing a metabolic pathway associated with protein sensing that can lead to an unnecessary cellular proliferation known as mTOR. So that's part of the reason she's recommending a moderate protein. I like to qualify that because so many people in our space assume that if we're in this paleo primal world, we're eating brontosaurus steak burgers like Fred Flintstone. Not the case.
Not the case at all.
Not the case. So, and
in fact, I think that we probably eat less protein than the average American eats. When you're talking about the average American going to McDonald's and going to fast food and going out to eat and then whatever they're fixing at home, probably eating more protein than I eat.
Yeah, she says here, depending on who you are talking to, anywhere from 36%, and that's Dr. Bernstein, he's kind of famous in the diabetic world, and then to 58% from Hans Krebs. So from 36 to 58% of the protein consumed in excess of what is needed to meet the repair and regeneration needs of the body may be ultimately be converted to glucose and used the same way. So
important part here.
Very important part. Not so, a lot of people kind of go overboard when they adapt a low-carb lifestyle and they think that's their ticket to go to Ruth Chris and eat a 24-ounce steak.
Well, the other thing is, too, makes me think that the overconsumption of protein will lead to the overconsumption of carbohydrates afterwards because of the insulin. So you have the overconsumption. You're eating that big burger and everything. You've overconsumed, and the insulin spikes, and now everything, the sugars drop an hour later, and all of a sudden you snack. And the snack, most of the time, is not protein again. It's the carbohydrates, the stuff you can't stop eating, the popcorn, the peanuts, and all those little things that we can't stop. That's kind of the way I see it. So the two are really tied together.
It's like that book I read from the Austrian author, and his name escapes me, but it was called Life Without Bread. And that's when I first got the picture that that a lot, and I see it in bodybuilder worlds, the people that are recommending eating, 4 and 6 times a day, their insulin levels are staying up here.
Yeah.
And they're going up and down.
Right.
But the person who eats 1, 2, 3 meals a day with no snacks, they're having their roll, but they're way down here in terms of their insulin. So, it's been suggested by some that vegetarianism, veganism is somehow superior in its effects upon the renal health. And I think a lot of people think that.
Yeah.
And my first thought is that as a cleansing diet, a juicing diet, periodically, it's great to wash your car, it's great to clean your clothes, it's great to take a shower.
Mm-hmm.
We need to take an internal bath sometimes. I'm cool with that, but let's continue with Nora's thought process here on exposing why an animal foods diet is not the culprit in the rise in kidney disease.
Stick around, folks. It's important.
We'll be right back.
We'd like to tell you about the personal training studio that Nico is the owner and president of, Performance Training. Since 1998, Nico has trained individuals and groups to improve their health both mentally and physically. As a certified personal trainer, Nico's main focus is on demonstrating exercises correctly to avoid injury and teaching his clients how to manage their past injuries while getting the most out of their personal training sessions. The Performance Training Studio is filled with unique training equipment that enhances balanced results at a faster rate while minimizing damage and discomfort. For more information, you can give Nico a call at 727-418-8740 or email him at nico@tfnn.com. Let him know you heard him on TFNN and save up to $100 on a special package just for TFNN listeners. Act today.
Tiger TV is an exciting way to experience TFNN programming. See high-definition video, giving you crystal clear charts, as well as seeing some of the faces of TFNN's highly acclaimed financial experts with crisp, full-fidelity sound. Catch Tom O'Brien, John Logan, Steve Rhodes, Basil Chapman, Larry Pesavento, Think or Swim, David White, Andy Hecht, and Daryl Martin in crystal clear, high-definition audio and video. Tiger TV, exclusively at TFNN.com.
Has the current market volatility continued to stop you out of trades when the market spikes against you? Now is the perfect time to open up an account with Nadex. Nadex, the North American Derivatives Exchange, is a brand new, completely regulated Chicago-based exchange, and unlike most other exchanges, Nadex allows you to trade directly through them with direct market access when using their completely free trading platform, which also features real-time charts and full customization capability. One of the advantages of trading with Nadex in volatile markets is that your risk is always capped and you have the ability of keeping your trades open even when the market spikes against you. Nadex is completely brand new with a line of unique trading products that are unavailable anywhere else. See how it works at nadex.com. That's NADEX.com. Or click on the Nadex banner on the front page of TFNN.com. Futures and options trading involves risk and may not be appropriate for all investors.
Many of our new listeners have heard about the Tiger's Den, but wondered, what exactly is it? The Tiger's Den is a lively community where professional traders and investors can meet, exchange ideas and information in a comfortable, moderated atmosphere. Hear all of your favorite TFNN shows, plus see all the charts as they happen live during those shows and have access to all those charts. You can test drive the Tiger's Den absolutely free for 30 days. It will greatly enrich your knowledge of these markets. Details on the Tiger's Den are on the front page of TFNN.com. This segment is brought to you by Think or Swim. For more information, just click the Think or Swim banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
And we're kind of going through, Norga got us this article on whether or not protein in animal foods is the culprit of the rise in kidney disease, and she says not. And many people believe that a diet of veganism or vegetarianism is superior in its effects upon renal health. But as a pertinent aside, she says, we as humans are primarily designed with a hydrochloric acid-based digestive system in the stomach to obtain our complete source protein from animal source foods.
That's really the difference when you look at all the animals in the world. You divide them into basically 3 groups, but I think we could even say 2 groups.
Yeah.
Because omnivores are kind of in the group with the protein ones. It's interesting to me that every animal on the planet runs on fat. Every single one of them. The ones that eat a lot of carbohydrates, like the ruminants, like our precious cows that eat grass-fed meat, have a special mechanism.
They got a whole different processing plant to do it.
And
It's
the
like she
processing
says.
plant is real interesting to me because that's why they run on fat. It's the bacteria in all these little stomachs where they put around stuff.
Natural herbivores are designed to get their nutrients from the bacterial fermentation of plant fibers.
Right.
That ruminant gut, something we humans are ill-equipped to do.
Right. So this ruminant gut is producing bacteria from, and this bacteria is eating all this stuff and pooping out the fats that the cow or all these other ruminants use. So every animal on the planet is a fat burner. If we're sugar burners, we're definitely on the wrong track.
This is kind of interesting,
Okay.
as she says. It's interesting to point out that no less than 70% of the actual calories a cow obtains from its exclusively plant-based diet actually comes from saturated fat, a short-chain fatty acid known as butyric acid. So, and that's an interesting number. That 70% is also the percentage of fat in mother's milk, saturated fat in breast milk.
And also, it's interesting that I've pushed my fat intake up to that number.
So the cow is not living strictly on carbohydrates that are derived from the bacterial fermentation of all that fiber. Even the animals designed to eat carbohydrate-based diets aren't relying on carbohydrates as their primary source of fuel.
And that's something.
Yeah.
So, folks, think about it. If we're eating a lot of vegetables here, how are we going to ferment and get this bacteria to do what it does for the cows?
Especially when our guts are already so sterilized.
Well, that's true,
from
too.
either eating the animal foods from the wrong sources where they are shot in with antibiotics, or what they're spraying on us, or what they're spraying on our food. So it really becomes a problem. We don't have the wherewithal to get that proper gut fermentation.
That's right.
So let's go on. She says, we, on the other hand, are designed to get our fats, including the ones that were actually used in the construction of our uniquely sophisticated brains, directly from animals that have synthesized them for us.
Yes. They're our buddies.
That's right. It's a
Man's
team.
best friend
It's a
is all
teamwork.
these animals. That's right.
But all large mammals are actually designed to run on fat as a primary source of fuel, even the herbivores. So I guess she's going to tell us even the gorilla that everyone always points to.
Yes,
Who
and the
eats-
gorilla, remember, has those sacks in front. A little different than a cow. They have 3 sacks where the food goes into to ferment. Chimpanzees have this in a smaller way too, but the big apes have this.
Yeah, she
Monkeys
says
as
we
well.
humans are literally the best designed of all animals to do so, and have brains uniquely capable of running almost exclusively on ketones, the energy currency of fats, as a super fuel full time. We can run on these fats as our energy full time.
Yes.
So relying on glucose as a primary as opposed to auxiliary source of fuel is a modern day phenomena for us humans, and one which we are ill adapted, and for many this has led to the chronic state of metabolic disease or metabolic enslavement, the crime against humanity. The biggest threat to all health is this metabolic imbalance.
I just love Nora Gagatis.
God, she's so smart.
The thing that, when I first read her first book, what got me on this whole path was where she was in the Arctic. She had this craving for butter.
And she ate like a stick a day or something.
Oh, probably a pound a day. And she was just craving this and eating very little else and not doing any exercise. And she was way up in the Arctic watching wolves. So you have to be stealthy, you have to be quiet, you can't move a lot. And then once a month they went to the commissary, and most of the time she got a lot of fat and stuff. And she lost like 40-some pounds during that few weeks that she was there, just eating the butter.
Yeah, you're exactly right.
And that's what made it click to me. And that's when I really started saying, okay, I think I understand this now. Of course, it's a process, folks. It takes a while. I mean, it's been almost a decade since I've switched over. I think everything is smoother because of it. And it ties directly to the food. It's not only the food, but it ties to the food because that's where your thinking kind of switches. I really do believe that.
So Nora says, she makes the point here, that even though there's evidence that there's a high level of carnivory in us, that we perform better both physically and mentally, psychologically by utilizing animal food source, that doesn't mean that more is better. Doesn't mean that more protein is better. Some people are pushing the bullet. Like I said, all these supersize me meals, whether they're fast food or at the nice restaurants where you're getting a big steak, you can overdo it. Relative to our best longevity considerations, it's important that we meet but not exceed our protein requirements.
Yeah.
My little buddy Jeff Sear keeps saying adequate protein.
Yeah.
Afraid so many people are getting too far, not enough, too much. Kidney health really isn't a part of this concern, however.
Yeah.
It's really not. It's about the damage to the vessels.
Yeah. You ever think about this? If you went camping for a few weeks, I don't think there's any way that you could get into this type of syndrome of overeating because you're too busy surviving. If you're out in the woods for a couple of weeks, even just camping, there's enough things to do to get the food and to prepare your shelters and have everything working right. You don't have time to eat that much, so you're eating smart.
Yes.
And I think that's what Primal Man was all about. He was doing things very smart.
We have a smorgasbord on every corner.
See, we don't think, when we go out in the door, we don't think about food except in consuming it. We don't think about preparing it too much or even getting it. This is not what our life is all about. We don't think about, doing things to our shelter. Yeah, we're going to fix up our home and everything like that. But in the wild, it's a different frame of reference. And I think that's what kept us healthy. That frame of reference is that living a primal lifestyle, that frame of reference is what keeps you healthy.
Yeah, it would be very interesting. Process. It would be very interesting for some of the and I respect the religious reasons of why people prefer to avoid animal foods. But if we were all hanging out in Maryland and we had a grid down situation and it's snowing in February and there's no green grass or plants to eat, what are you going to do?
Ice fish?
Yeah. But what's the vegan going to do?
Yeah, he's going to starve.
Yeah. Or he's going to change.
Yeah.
And adapt.
Yeah, hopefully.
So Nora's work is the idea of consuming a diet most in alignment with our evolutionary genetic heritage. And then she likes to tweak those principles and taking the research of human longevity into consideration. She's my kind of gal. I think she's right on, and her work is worthy of looking. So we're going to continue. We're going to take another break.
Meanwhile, in our present Health Signals newsletter, I have a great thing on nuts and the paleo diet, where moderation is key.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about today, moderation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we'll be right back. Fix that up, folks. We've got a new one coming out. You know what's cool? Taking something that's good for you. Something specifically formulated to help with weight loss, better sleep, stress reduction, and the need to detox.
Nico, our hunter and gatherer ancestors found all their nutritional requirements for health in their wild environment. But today, our food sources no longer contain the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients our bodies need to stay healthy and strong.
That's why we need Primal Edge Daily Nutrition. It includes a special blend of ionic, soil-based vitamins, minerals, fatty, and amino acids in an easy-to-use liquid form.
Primal Edge is powered by highly concentrated fulvic and humic acids, nature's preferred delivery system. They have been called miracle molecules because, like sunlight, air, and water, life cannot exist without them.
That's right, Paige. They ensure we receive all the nutrition we need to be healthy and thrive. We take it every morning.
Primal Edge, formulated and approved by Nico and Paige of Living a Primal Lifestyle. Buy it today for just $89. Click on the Primal Edge banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
Tom O'Brien's weekly gold letter, The Gold Report, gives complete and concise coverage of the entire gold market. Inside, you'll get Tom's commentary on gold, the dollar, the rand, the bond, the XAU, the HUI, and detailed coverage of nearly 25 mining stocks. He'll give you the entry price, price target, and stop price of each stock trade. The Gold Report is a long-term newsletter where the focus is on building real wealth through the management of a successful portfolio of gold stocks. With a lifetime of knowledge and almost 12 years of writing his informative weekly newsletter, The Gold Report, Tom O'Brien can provide you with the important market information to help you make better trades in the gold market. Don't let the next bull run in gold pass you by. To get a month-long free trial to The Gold Report, an $85 value, visit the front page of TFNN.com today.
David White's newsletter, The Technology Insider, is focused like a laser on finding the next big things in technology. If you had invested only $10,000 in Microsoft in 1986, you'd have been a millionaire by 2000. Disruptive technology like Microsoft's is the key to these massive long-term profits, and the Tech Insider is the vehicle from TFNN to capitalize on these opportunities. This is the go-to newsletter that identifies, monitors, and profits on mostly little-known cutting-edge companies with great long-term prospects. David's experience is as an inventor of Emmy-winning animation products for TV and Hollywood that propelled a company public. Match that with 14 years as a full-time trader, and he's uniquely qualified to guide you through the light-speed world of ever-evolving high-tech. If you're ready to ride the next big technology bull market for less than $40 per month, log on to TFNN.com and get your 2-week free trial to the Technology Insider. Get in on the ground floor of the next big thing today.
Don't forget, you can listen to TFNN live on your mobile device 24 hours per day. Go to TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV. That's TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV for the latest market information.
And welcome back to the show. I'd like to point out that this is the end of the summer Primal Edge promotion. Really important. Save $25 this month when you sign up for Primal Edge Daily Nutrition. Also, if you are a subscriber of the Primal Edge, you get it every single month. You just call the office, you get one additional bottle, and this is good to have in case you're not feeling too well, you're traveling, or maybe you want to gift it to somebody.
Exactly.
It's a great time
Great
to do
deal.
it. So please go to the TFNN website and pick up the Primal Edge. It's really important. Stay healthy during these trying times, and Primal Edge is the first step.
That's right. So let's get back to what Nora's teaching us. You know, as she mentioned, she likes to her teaching is based on aligning with our most evolutionary genetic heritage and then tweaking those principles based on the research into anti-aging and longevity. And obviously, anything that expands our health span, not our lifespan, but our health span, you know, is going to minimize disease. So how do we do that? We minimize our need for insulin and we moderate our intake of protein. And the result amounts to a more optimized diet that is low in insulin and low in utilizable carbohydrates, you know, low in starches, low in sugars.
And when we say it's high in fat, it's only high in fat calorically.
Yeah, right. That's the whole key. That's what I was getting to. Moderate in protein, no more than roughly 0.8 grams per kilogram of estimated ideal body weight.
Yeah, kind of 20% of your diet kind of thing, I'm thinking.
Right.
And if you go 70% of fat,
not 80% of your diet, you mean?
20%.
Oh, 20%, okay.
Yeah, 20% of your diet, protein. A little higher maybe for some people, 25, maybe
Well,
up
I
to
think
30.
just multiply 0.8 times, you know, your lean body weight, your ideal body weight. So if you're a little bit over your ideal body weight, like I am, you have to subtract where your ideal body weight would be, multiply it up 0.8, and then divide that through 2 or 3 meals during the day.
The beautiful thing, if you up your healthy fats, you're going to be less hungry. You're not going to be impacted by the insulin because you're less hungry. You're not going to overeat because you're less hungry. All these things kind of fall in line. It doesn't come immediately, folks. It does take time. There's a tradition, sometimes 2 weeks, sometimes 2 months, sometimes a year. And to fully metabolize as a primal fat burner, I would say a year is a good thing to think about. I always tell my clients when you're changing something, think in those 12 months.
Yeah, it's a season. Nature uses seasons to change.
Yeah, so use the
So you need to give yourself a season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think four seasons.
And I think what you said, overall fat dominates in terms of the amount. So that's something that I think people get confused about when you say, oh, this person's eating 60 to 70% of their calories in fat. What they mean is that's the percentage.
Yeah.
But they may be actually only eating 40% of the
Probably
calories,
less than that even, yeah.
but the amount. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, 30%, I would say.
yeah.
If you're talking about, like, if you put a piece of fat here and a piece of protein here and carbohydrates here, the fat would be about the same size as the protein.
But it'd be doubly caloric dense.
Be double,
Correct.
and then what's left over is kind of the carbs. And this is kind of the thing that I think about. What's left over are always the carbs.
Right.
It may be dessert, it may be a salad, it may be some vegetables, but never is it processed. That's my opinion.
And Nora reminds us, although we still have no scientifically established dietary requirement for the carbohydrates, the green vegetables and so forth, they do make up a big part of a primal eater's plate today.
And the reason for this, I think, is because it's a medicine. The carbohydrates are God's gift to us in medicine. It helps us overcome certain things. It stimulates our body to react healthy.
Yeah. And many people are having a difficult time handling carbohydrates, even the fibrous vegetables, due to the inability to break them down, and they end up being a problem in the small bowel.
Right.
So small intestinal bacterial overgrowth becomes an issue.
Yeah.
And
The problem with carbohydrates really is the way we've used them. If you go back into time and look at how our ancestors, or even people in certain geographic areas, use their carbohydrates, you're going to find that they use them completely differently. Like potatoes up in the mountains of the Andes. We need it up there because those carbohydrates, the way the people use them, and remember those potatoes, they have to be really processed too. You have to whip them into shape, you have to boil them and roast them and things like that. And then for high altitude, carbohydrate has a certain, really, that starchy thing has a healing effect and allows us to operate at those high altitudes.
well, that's exactly what Jack Kruse has said. The higher you go, you have more exposure to the UV light.
Yes.
See, the higher the altitude, like skiers wearing bikinis skiing, so carbohydrate consumption can increase in the higher altitude.
And also closer to the
And then on the equator.
Right.
So again, wherever there's more increased of UV light, that's why it makes no sense for someone in Boston in the winter to buy a banana.
Right.
So when we start to put together the circadian rhythms and the chronobiology, the time and where we're at and your haplotype.
Plus the waste of money to get a banana up to Boston in the wintertime. I mean, it's got to cost more in transportation to get that banana there than the actual cost of a banana.
Yeah. Nora's she calls her approach a primalgenic, kind of a sniglet between primal and ketogenic. And, the basis of our unique human cognition relies upon two fatty acids in particular, arachidonic acid and deoxyhanoic acid, which is DHA, both of which are exclusively found within the human brain in animal source foods.
Human diet, yeah.
Yeah. And by the way, if DHA is not in your diet, then it is not in your brain either.
And we find it's not in a lot of brains because we have dementia, we have Alzheimer's, we have ADD, lots of brain.
Attention deficit disorder, even from these children just born, with their mothers.
Right.
It is a big deal. So it's important. And I've learned that also from Dr. Jack Kruse, who calls his dietary approach the epipaleo approach, meaning above the paleo. And he funnels in on the need for seafood and specifically those high DHA concentrated seafoods. So we're really learning a lot. So when it comes to kidney disease, dietary protein is not the foundational issue. In part, excess carbohydrate consumption and glycation is. So high fructose foods are particularly implicated here. I would assume nobody listening to this show is still eating any of those foods. I would sincerely hope, since really it's fructose is no less than 10 times more glycating in the body than glucose.
Yeah, and it's in everything, folks. Everything. Check your labels.
So the number one condition associated with the need for renal dialysis is diabetes, by the way. So just follow that little money trail.
Yeah, renal, of course, means kidneys, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
So renal dialysis is kidney dialysis, which is a result of damage to the kidneys. The small vasculature that nurture the kidneys are glycated and clogged as a result of insulin problems, damage to the vessels, coming back to metabolic syndrome, too much carbohydrates, There you go.
Yeah, so these are vital organs that we have, the kidneys and the bladder and all these things are so highly being used with these toxins that they're under stress. And no wonder most of the diseases are tied to these organs.
Yeah, so you know what, just real quick, in at least one study conducted at Mount Sinai School of Medicine, a low-carbohydrate, high-fat ketogenic diet was shown to literally reverse kidney failure in persons with diabetes.
Stick around, folks. The number here is 877-927-6648. We shall be right back.
Hi, I'm Steve Rhodes, host of the Trader's Edge heard daily at TFNN.com and author of Mastering Probability, a daily investment and trading newsletter service that I send out each morning by 8 a.m. My morning newsletter service covers exactly what the markets have been doing since last night's close, providing you with an edge on your trading day ahead. You get actionable trading ideas, including the exact entry, stop, and profit targets. Plus, I'll teach you the patterns and hidden market correlations that will make you a better trader. As a subscriber, you'll gain access to my 90-minute money management workshop, where I'll teach you the secrets that'll save your assets. The bottom line, I've got your back, including a 30-day money-back guarantee. See for yourself the type of analysis I provide each trading day by signing up for Mastering Probability today. With nothing to lose, this is an offer you should not pass on. Mastering Probability can be found under Trading Newsletters on the front page of TFNN.com.
If you're an active trader looking for that extra edge when it comes to trading and investments, then now is a great time to get a 2-week free trial to Tom O'Brien's daily market letter, Market Insights. Tom O'Brien's daily newsletter, Market Insights, comes out every market day at around 9:30 a.m. and provides Tom's daily commentary on the broad market, including the Dow, NASDAQ, and S&P, plus specific trade recommendations. There's even an update published most afternoons to keep you informed about the day's market activity. He'll give you the entry price, price target, and stop price of each stock and option trade. With Market Insights, there's nothing left to guessing. For all the details and to get your 2-week free trial to Market Insights started today, visit TFNN.com.
No matter where you're listening to TFNN programming, you can always access your favorite shows on demand through TFNN.com. TFNN airs live programming every market day from 8 a.m. till 6 p.m. Eastern, and you can view each program by accessing Tiger TV through our homepage. We even have an easy link for all mobile devices, including iPhones, iPads, and Android devices, located in the top right-hand corner of the TFNN homepage. You can use your smartphone to view Tiger TV, but if you don't have a connection that can keep up with streaming live video, then you can simply visit TFNN.mobi in the browser of your smartphone for live streaming audio of all our programs. The mission of TFNN is to educate our audience directly and interactively through our interactive website and call-in talk shows. TFNN is able to teach all levels of investors the technical skills needed to trade in today's marketplace. In order to get the best information possible, TFNN has assembled the most respected financial minds in the country to provide the most current news and comprehensive advice available. TFNN.com, educating investors. Up next, 9 before 9 with John Logan on TFNN.
Welcome back, folks. So, Paige, if it's not the animal source foods that are the problems, what is the problem with the kidney problems and the dysfunction of this happening to just about everybody?
Right, because like we said, I mean, we have millions of people diagnosed with diabetes and millions of them undiagnosed.
Right.
Because the doctors don't have the right tests. Same thing with kidney disease.
Right.
You know, millions of people know they have it, and millions of people have it, and they don't know it. But why? Why? If it's not the protein, as you said, there's a bunch of other contributing factors, Nico.
Up to 15% of the people on dialysis are receiving treatment as a result of damage to what?
Are damage from NSAIDs or non-steroidal anti-inflammatories, aspirin or Tylenol or ibuprofen, folks. This did the damage to their kidneys. And there's studies over, that show that blood tests of elderly patients taking regular doses of non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs show higher levels of laboratory values that indicate kidney dysfunction than those that do not take. In addition, other drugs such as statins, statin use has also been linked with kidney disease and kidney failure.
Yep.
After all, if you don't have the cholesterol to do the repair to the vessels, damage.
This makes sense to me.
Makes sense. How about the next one?
Yeah, the next one, mercury exposure and toxicity. Of course, this is a problem. This is in fish. This is in a lot of animals. Even in vegetables we find it. So, we need to detox because of this. I don't think there's any way we can eliminate it from the food in the next 20 years or so. I think that'll come with sustainable agriculture.
This is a great use for the power of the plant kingdom, by using some of the natural chelators in the plant kingdom.
That can help us get rid of this stuff.
Again, number 4, vitamin D deficiency may also be an independent risk factor for renal failure. And so how do we get our vitamin D up? We get out in the sun.
Yeah, and then gluten immune reactivity. This is the constant barrage of eating the wheat and different types of byproducts that are in our processed food, and of course the bread and things like that. These things cause these reactions, and of course it's...
How about this? A gluten-free diet has even demonstrated efficacy in complete reversal of proteinuria in renal patients, of losing protein. So that's another clue. If your doctor kind of tests it and says, oh, you got a little protein in your urine. First of all, I never even see doctors doing urine tests anymore. That's a very valuable tool right there.
For sure.
But, a lot of people have trace protein. That could be a sign that you're intolerant to the gluten.
Yeah.
And
glyphosate, of course, is in our water. It's in our food. It's everywhere. This is the reason why we have to detox. And
one of the biggest culprits, the world's most heavily used herbicide.
So the thing to do is make sure that your meat doesn't have it. That's the thing right there. So your fat doesn't have it. So you have to get it from clean animals. That's all there is to it.
That's exactly right. And chronic dehydration, 60-70% of all acute renal failure cases are the result of not having enough flow being able to reach the kidneys. You got to have the water to keep the flow going.
Yeah. And you need structured water. You need pure water.
Well, and we can drink this structured water. We've brought in some ideas for you all by using structured water like Thera H2O. But let me tell you, we are water. We are a big sack of water, and the best way to structure yourself is to get out in the infrared light. Sleep with an infrared heating pad like what Robbie makes. The idea is the infrared spectrum is responsible for creating structured water in our bodies, and we can get that through nature.
It's a beautiful thing.
It is a beautiful thing. And when you add all these things to the crappy Western diet, as Nora says, which, by the way, has not increased its protein consumption in any significant way since 1965. So there you go. It's really easy to see that the increase in kidney disease is just tagging along with the increase in metabolic syndrome and diabetes, and the sugar and excess carbohydrates and damaged fats are really at the culprit for these.
Yes, it is. And I'd like to remind everybody this is the end of summer Primal Edge promotion. So go to the website. You can see it right there in the front. Pick that up. You get $25 off. This is for new subscribers. And, of course, if you are on this subscription, you can get that extra bottle you may need. So pick that up and gift it to somebody. That's the best way you can do it. Thanks for sticking around, folks. Really appreciate you being here. And I hope we've helped you.
See you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Basil Chapman will be giving a 2-series webinar Wednesday, August 2nd and Wednesday, August 16th from 5 to 6:30 p.m. Can sector rotation buoy the market into 2018? Each time the market feels it's ready to have a sharp decline, formerly weak sectors rally to hold the market up. This 2-webinar series will be free for Basil's opening call subscribers, and non-subscribers will also receive his daily newsletter for 1 month free as a trial subscription. Sign up for a 30-day free trial to Basil's daily newsletter, The Opening Call, and gain access to his subscriber-only webinar on August 2nd and Wednesday, August 16th from 5 to 6:30 p.m. Can sector rotation buoy the market into 2018?
Hi everyone, this is Basil Chapman, and I'm looking forward to seeing you at my webinar series.
To sign up for a 30-day free trial to Basil's daily newsletter and gain access to Basil's webinar, visit the front page of TFNN.com. You're watching Tiger TV.